Welcome, everyone. My name is Cara Ockendon of Soul Healing, and I am a separation and divorce coach who specializes in conscious uncoupling, particularly as you move through and navigate relationship breakdowns that end in separation or divorce. I am particularly passionate about helping my clients pave the path of least destruction and helping them to do this with all the tools and resources they need to make this as easy and simple as possible as they're moving through this process. With that in mind, I'm conscious that I am only one piece of the puzzle, so I'm very passionate about taking a holistic approach and cultivating a team of trusted individuals that I can refer my clients to help them move through some of those matters that I am unable to assist them with as they're navigating this path. And today I'm so excited to be speaking with the beautiful Katrina Robbins. She is a senior financial planner and has been the director of her own company, Wealth Architects, for over 7 years. Katrina has over 40 years experience in the industry, and she's very passionate as well about taking a holistic and team approach to her work and helping her clients cultivate and achieve their financial objectives and goals that are often better than what they might have in mind when they first come in to see Katrina. So with that, I'm so delighted to have you share your time with me today, Katrina. So welcome.
Thank you, Cara. It's awesome to be here.
Yes. So tell me a little bit, Katrina, about you as a person and how you got into financial planning.
I think everyone starts in their careers in different ways. And my step into financial planning was my dad required an assistant when I first left school. So
Wow.
that was, I was a young girl not knowing what my world would look like in the outside world. Thought that I would spend a small period of time working with dad just to get my head around how life would look forward, and stepped into a financial planning firm and never left financial planning again. It was an awesome experience. It was a long time ago, and I loved dealing with the clients. I loved stepping through things that we could do, advice that we could provide to them, and the change we could make in their lives. So from the moment I started in the industry, I just knew it was my place. So, and it hasn't changed. It's always been my place.
Beautiful. That's so very fortunate that you found your place so quickly in life. That's really fascinating to me, because a lot of us take a path that's a bit longer than that, but for you, you've always known. So that's really wonderful. Yes. So, and tell me a little bit now, you said I understand you started your own company, Wealth Architects, about 7 years ago. So tell me a little bit about your business and your values and what you bring to the table for individuals.
Having been in the industry a long time, I've worked with a lot of different businesses. I've stepped in and out of people's vision of what they wanted to create. And coming in and starting Wealth Architects was an opportunity to create a replica of what I wanted from the industry. So as a big business, Wealth Architects is located throughout Australia. So there are many principals as part of the company, and we are each allowed the opportunity to create our own version within the culture of Wealth Architects. So that means I have great business partners. I have colleagues. I'm not alone in the industry. I have resources available to me whilst I continue to run my business like a medium-sized business. It's wonderful to be able to grow it in my own way and to be able to create my own experience. So my main point of difference is that I do like that holistic approach. I understand that I am just one facet in a client's life, and it takes many people to create a fantastic life journey. So I can be responsible for the wealth creation and the wealth preservation, what wealth can buy for people. But going forward, I know that there will be so many other impacts in their lives. So I've created a network of professionals around me so that when clients have problems, I may well have the right solution for them.
Thank you. And so when you're talking about the clients that you're working with, so what kind of clients are that are coming to you to, and what kind of problems are they coming to you with that they're looking to solve, and how are you helping them?
We really like helping professional couples, so that would be our ideal client. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, the world is never ideal. So in
Yeah.
helping professional clients, we like retirees. Retirement is a significant concern for a lot of people, being able to afford not to work. And that can happen. We now call it lifestyle planning, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily retirement planning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that change can happen at any point in our lives where people want different choices. They don't necessarily want the 9 to 5 every day until they're 65. So,
Mm-hmm.
creating a journey that's individual to people, that's crafted for them, that listens to what it is that they want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And in that journey, we go up and down the tree. So it might be that a client comes to us in their 50s, a couple, a professional couple, they may need aged care advice or retirement planning advice for their parents. They may need assistance with their adult children to buy a home, to step into the property market. They're starting jobs. So we do have clients of all ages in our client base.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an aging client base like many financial planners have, where it's just put funds in place. Our advice is always evolving. It's always changing.
Wow. And I just wanted to circle back there before, because you mentioned before that, you have the ideal client is those who may be professional couples, but you said it's not an ideal world. So often in life, these professional couples may separate. So I wanted to circle back into that, because obviously a lot of my client base are in that space where they might have been a professional couple or just simply a married couple, and now they're moving into separation. They may be they may have assets already that they're not quite sure how they want to divide. So they they want to make sure they're preserving as best they can what they've created between them.
Yeah.
And see that when they separate, that's not all going to go to rubbish, and they're both left in a space where they're losing out. So I'm wondering, whether you can assist people navigate that process so they're preserving as much as they can whilst they're dividing what they have between them.
Absolutely. We map out people's life journey, and whilst we pretend that the life journey is just going to be a nice little gradient upwards, the life journey has twists and turns all over. So, there can be health impacts, there can be concerns about caring for others, but, more and more, COVID has not helped. Divorce comes into it. So in the journey for, what is important to them, we do get a lot of referrals of people who are going through divorce. So, whilst our ideal couple together, we're seeing a lot of people being referred in who are on their own. They're, again, wanting to make some really smart decisions about their way forward. They're wanting to be sure that they're going to utilize whatever working time they still have, and that they can accumulate and still have some quality of retirement forward, regardless of whatever that settlement looks like.
Yes. Wow. And that makes a lot of sense, because, and also when you're moving for a settlement as well, like you're getting a piece of what you have between you. So therefore, you're in some levels you are starting back to where you were previously, and you've got to kind of start again. But it also gives you a fantastic opportunity now to revisit what your goals are and what you want to achieve now as a single person. It may be different to what you had decided between you as a couple when you're taking in two people's opinions and ideals and desires in place. But now they have an opportunity with you to recreate what that path of future looks like for them, and to achieve their financial goals and how they want their lifestyle to look.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like how people will come to me quite broken. Their vision of what they thought they were going to have is now smashed, and it's not the way that they thought it would be. So everything that they knew to be true is no longer true. And it doesn't matter if they're the decider or the non-decider of the relationship breakdown. It's a whole new beginning. So we frame a lot of this around, being a blank canvas. We're now recreating the way forward. And my goal is to empower people with their money. People feel, especially through divorce in particular, very controlled, very they're wanting a percentage. The percentage is what's driving it.
Yes.
Fueled by solicitors, but fundamentally the reality is I like to step through and work through what are the financial resources, what is the asset part actually look like, how much money do we actually have coming through, and then what does the individual need to reestablish themselves.
Yeah.
And that becomes really important because
absolutely.
It's fair to then look on the other side. So I do objectively step back and think, what does the other side want to achieve from this? And what do I think they'll ask for? So what is it that's going to make them really comfortable and pleased with the outcomes if they obtain something? And then I look at the person that I'm looking after, and knowing what the kryptonite might be for the other person helps us to negotiate much better.
Yes, and I love that approach that you take there, Katrina, because it's so very important, because you're quite right. People can get quite fixated on the percentages.
Yes.
And realistically, the differences in the percentages they're arguing over in dollar terms is often not a huge amount. So when we can sit there and they can work with you and understand, okay, well, maybe I don't need that extra, whatever it may be, 50 grand in order to set myself up comfortably. And maybe it's not worth, going through this legal battle where it's going to cost me at least another 50 grand and them too.
Yes.
Maybe it's better if I step back myself outside of this and say, can I achieve my goals with this? And you can help them come into that understanding that, yeah, actually, I can set myself up. I'm going to be okay with this. And maybe I don't need to fight over a percentage because that's what my solicitor is telling me to do. Or, and I'm a family lawyer, so I know that we that's what legal advice is about. We can tell you those things, and sometimes it can be, we've got to tell you what your rights and entitlements are. But when it comes to making a holistic decision, it's often not really about the percentage. And I love as well that you bring in the perspective of the other party, or what do they need? Because one of the things that people probably don't necessarily understand when you're working in the court process, the court actually does look at what's just and equitable for everyone, and what both parties need to get themselves back up and reestablished. So I love that you bring that into your work. So I imagine that a lot of financial planners don't do that. So I think that really does separate you out from some others moving through that process, that you actually do consider the other party. And that's it's not just me, but what having a holistic approach means that you do need to look at those things.
And it's fair.
Yes,
part of this is to be a good person. I know, that the movies will dramatize and make things out, but the reality is two people don't want to be together anymore. And it's okay to let that go. But there will be some things in there. It might be a car, a watch. I saw a sneaker collection once. There's something that someone really desperately wants. It might be an age difference, a tax impact, an access to super, something that works favorably for one over the other. Age difference is always a catalyst. So, and so what do we need to give that person in order to get the best outcome for both?
And you're quite right about those sorts of things as well, because if there is a vast age difference, there is a big difference in what people may want to hold on to, like whether it's superannuation and pensions, and having that to access, or even that comes into play from the point of view that if someone's close to retiring age, well then they can access a super, right? So that's something that's going to be relevant as well, how soon you can access your super. And that all goes into decision making. So I'm really glad that you can bring that into the holistic perspective for individuals to help them see, okay, well, maybe you don't need the extra cash flow because maybe in a year's time you're going to access your super. And so maybe you don't need that because, it's only 12 months. So maybe you can let that go and focus on the bigger picture here. What's going to be best of service to you really, as opposed to, what you may be able to get today, right?
Yes.
So, and you're quite right again. I also really appreciate the fact that you say it's about also being what's fair, because at the end of the day, this is a person that you spent your life with, you built your life with. And even if it wasn't the most healthy of relationships, there's still someone who, whether you're feeling it right now or not, that you cared for deeply, that you loved,
Yeah.
And most people, when they're outside that pain and that trauma and that grief and resentment, they do still genuinely want both parties to be okay, right?
Yes.
When they're outside of it, right?
Yes.
When they're in the thick of it, sometimes not. But
Yeah.
so I do, like, I love that you take that approach and can help individuals to see through that as well, see through the mud, right? And get clarity.
Often what I'm seeing is one person in the couple are the money people, and they are so good at money and so good at spreadsheets and so good at knowing where everything is and how everything is. And then there is the one who just hasn't participated in those conversations in the same way, or isn't wired in the same way. And they believe that they are at a significant disadvantage in the negotiating. So it's awesome to empower people, to teach people, to have them come to a level where they understand. I have had a number of clients who've been quite creative. So, they tell me, I don't mind what I get from this. This will be, whatever this is. No, that's not right. Like 50-50 is fair. It's a starting point of fair. So it's not about hurting people. It's just about having permission to ask for what is equal or fair. And often people aren't wired for that. They're so used to giving that they think that it's acceptable to give way too much.
To overgive in the situation, yes. And I can understand that as well. And that's where I can help individuals as well to move through some of those patterns they may have in a relationship, so they're not also shorthanding themselves in the process, whilst, and re-empowering them to, perhaps step back into, like you say, taking responsibility for their financial future that they had given to someone else previously. And you can help take back some of that responsibility through you by giving them the education that they may need to take back that power, which is outside my scope, of course. But, you become a wonderful resource in that situation where there are plenty of individuals, like you say, who take a real backseat. And that can be a real source of fear, like you say, and mistrust as they're moving through the process as well, because they just start to think, maybe I don't know about something, and they go, maybe they're hiding something. They must be hiding something. And suddenly they need to know everything, whereas, 2 months ago they trusted them with their life, and now suddenly that trust is gone. And there's a whole lot of science behind that I've recently looked into, and started to create a little mini ebook around that as to why that happens. But it does happen, and it's very normal, but it's not helpful, right?
It'll flow into all aspects of their life then. Once they let this change them. And this is where, I love empowering them with knowledge and the way forward and what their finances can look like. But if they are still feeling vulnerable, feeling powerless, unable to step into that zone, then the personal skills that you can provide are just completely vital. They can't rebuild their life forward. I want everyone, going through these events is it's a learning, it's a path, it's something that happens to us that teaches us a lot about ourselves and about others. But not everyone takes it as a learning experience, and sometimes they minimize themselves and don't evolve from it. So your skills in drawing that out, helping them, and it could be either withdrawing within themselves or becoming, I don't know, maybe victims or nasty, or sometimes people become quite angry, and none of this is good. And it doesn't help me in trying to find a way forward, because they're still in the here and now, and they do need that assistance.
And it's such a disempowering place to be in as well. I think what you touched upon there, when people are stuck in the resentment and the bitterness and the anger, and sure, all of those feelings might be very valid if they have been mistreated or deceived and all those things. However, if you don't transcend that and evolve that, you're going to be disempowered and stay that victim forever, and perhaps never have the experience of having the beauty of love and connection again, and the beauty of taking back responsibility for the life you can now create for yourself, the blank slate, the possibility that is now available to you as someone who has also evolved and changed throughout that partnership, and what's possible now for you. So I'm glad you touched on that as well, because it is about taking that power back and empowering individuals to say, okay, yes, this happened. And it's more normal than not normal for people to go through either divorce or relationship breakdown from a de facto. The statistics say that most people are having 3 long-term monogamous relationships in their life now compared to what we used to do back in the 50s. And so it's normal. And if we can normalize that and help people to move through that more quickly, well, then they can take their power back quickly and start to create their financial future that they do want for themselves more quickly, as opposed to setting themselves back years, right?
It's so good, isn't it? I don't think we're meant to be alone.
No.
We're living a long time. We're living longer than we ever have.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Perhaps relationships are supposed to be in our lives for the purposes, the purpose, when you meet someone and you have children, maybe that's the right person for having children with.
Yes.
But it may not be the person that you want to retire with.
Exactly.
Lots of people come to that, what does my life look forward for retirement? And being busy with life, and then realize that the busyness of life has left 2 people as silos. If they haven't moved together, and retirement or change is an opportunity to reinvent in the relationship. So that's an opportunity. But often there's too many memories, there's too much hurt. So it's challenging. I like to think that my existing clients will stay married. It is hard to repurpose or 2 homes, hard to get from one pot these days. So it's a matter of working through that. But this is the change. Advice is not what it used to be. It used to be people were in jobs for a long time. People stayed together forever. Now people were in jobs in and out, and it looks different.
We are living in a very different time, and it's evolved very quickly. And I think individuals are still struggling to catch up with that.
Absolutely.
Because I do touch on that as well. Like how you said before, previously people would stay together. And the other thing that people don't also realize is that it wasn't that long ago, 150 years ago, when people weren't living that long. We weren't living that long. That's all you got was the chance to have one long-term relationship, because we would die at like 45 or whatever it was. Whereas now that's when people are separating and have a whole second life.
Yes.
Right. So people are just not appreciating the fact that the longevity of our life does make a difference. There's so much science now around as well, as that you're saying that even for when we actually fully mature in our brain, it doesn't even happen to that point. So it's no wonder we have a midlife crisis, because our brain structure has this whole other development.
Yes.
And so I get quite excited about all the science stuff. Some people don't, but I think it's really helpful to understand when we're explaining this to people as to why these things are happening for them, and that it is normal, and to help them get unstuck from that, as to seeing it as a failure, or perhaps to come into a realization that maybe it wasn't such a reasonable expectation to hold in current times and modern world where we are as a human race right now. So I do love that you touched on that as well. It's so valuable. Thank you. And we're also touching on what you said about human bonds as well. Like you say, I think we're meant to have relationships, and that is actually 100% accurate. Like I said, just been working on this paper around why breakups bring out the worst in people, and how to avoid that. And one of the key aspects there is the fact that we're actually wired for human bonding connection as a survival mechanism. So next to food and water, we need human bonds. So it's that paramount to our fundamental existence as human beings, as a human race. So they are incredibly important. And this is why it's so important as you're moving through this relationship breakdown, to ensure that you can continue to cultivate those bonds thereafter, and not fall into this disempowered victim who is now very cynical and about relationships moving forward in life. So,
and it's a very natural thing, isn't it, when people go through change or things that they weren't anticipating, that they push people away. And it's like the whole work from home thing. It's a natural thing to go, I want to work from home. This isn't working in my relationship, so I'm just going to push them away, and I'm going to be isolated and just me. And it's the worst thing that they can do. They actually need to step in to other people, to have
Yes.
a tribe of people around. And as people don't have the friendship groups that they used to have, I'm
Yes.
finding that our relationship, where we do talk about everything with clients, so it's not just this level, we go into the deep to find out what's really going on with clients. Because if we don't, we'll proceed on a financial path and it will all be unraveled by the emotional undercurrents that will happen later.
Yeah, the emotional drivers.
We do have good, strong, robust conversations.
Yes.
But then in those conversations, again, there will be so many elements in there that I'm not equipped to help them with. I can discuss them and uncover them and make them aware that people see the stuff that we think people can't see, but it's not my role. So having good referral partners, people who we can introduce clients to, we want to make great decisions in our lives, but sometimes we just don't know what that looks like or how to make that happen. So
yes.
we're very fortunate to have the gift of people and for people to be open and authentic with us.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more there, Katrina. And like you say, yeah, it is important to have those other resources for individuals to address those aspects that you're not able to address in your position. Like for me, part of my role is helping them to get out of that nervous system and helping them to get out of that survivor mode, so that they can then have access to making those clear decisions from the right motivations, not from the nervous system trauma, which is not, you're not going to be able to make a good decision there. The science is very clear on that. And yes, that's something also I'm going to be delivering to my clients as well, is that information around what's actually going on there, so they can understand that, and then I can help them navigate through that so they can then make good, wise decisions from their more holistic self, with standing outside the pain and resentment. That it's very normal to go through it. Everyone goes through it.
It's stages.
It's so normal. It's very human of us. It's just how we then navigate the path through that, so that we can make good decisions. So yeah, I really appreciate your work, Katrina. I love the way that you manage things. I think it's very empowering, and I love that you're holistic in your approach as well. So I'm excited to have been having this conversation with you. And I suppose the last thing I did want to ask you, I know you understand you do have quite a number of clients right now who are working through relationship breakdowns. Yes. So in terms of what sort of results that you're helping individuals achieve, can you tell me a little bit, maybe an example of maybe someone that you worked with recently, in terms of what kind of results that you've been achieving for them?
Yeah, it's the results that I've achieved has been with the number of women. The last few clients have been women clients, so they have been the more working more flexibly through their marriage, not necessarily having the same career path as their husband. Their husband in a really strong position of income and financially astute, bamboozling them with spreadsheets and telling them how they should live their life in their split. So very controlling, very domineering in 3 instances. So these 3 clients that come to mind. And the women just feeling overwhelmed, powerless, coming in, not understanding either what they have or what they have and what that can do for them. So stepping through with them over, let's work out what you have. Let's go through and create an asset pot to determine what this looks like. And then let's take a step back from the finances and let's talk about, what does life forward look like? What does that look like? How does that look like for you? And what do you most want to achieve? Once we have an understanding of their way forward, and sometimes they haven't even dared to imagine what forward looks like, because the here and now is where they're focusing. You're bringing them out of the trauma of now into a place that is a happy place, that is comfortable, that is achievable. And what will the resources provide in that process? So that degree of comfort, being able to map that out and show them, we do a number of different ways. We use a lot of language, but we also use the numbers. So I'm conscious for these people, you put a spreadsheet up in front of them and it's just going to traumatize them again. So
yes.
the numbers are my world, but to show them the numbers in a way that they understand then what their choices are, what their future looks like. Can they reestablish themselves in the way they thought, or will there be some compromises? And how do we ease those compromises into the discussion?
Yeah, wonderful.
So it's each of those women have actually risen forward from this. So and as I've said to them, they will be my best advocates because they're living their best lives.
Yes.
And as they live their best lives and they run into friends of theirs with problems, it's not about everyone needing to go through this to be happy, but if they're in a place that can't be fixed, then they will be my best advocates for bringing through new referrals.
Yes,
absolutely. The path has been amazing for them. And for each of those, I was fortunate enough to be invited to be part of mediation. So I was actually sitting as their preferred support for mediation, which is a horrific day for me. I do not enjoy these days.
I don't enjoy them either. When I was a solicitor, it was not my favourite day. They're long, they're tiresome, they're awful. But go on, sorry to interrupt.
It's like being in a car crash with someone. It's not great, but the bond is significant. But the power of that is on the day their minds aren't wired and they're too stressed to make good choices. And often what I find is it's a long day. I don't know, there's a promise of half a day. I've never been fortunate enough to have half a day. It's always a full day.
Never.
Always a full day. And the full day means that the desire to make a decision at the end of the day becomes very strong.
Yes.
And it's my role to point out what the impacts will be if they choose something other than what we've discussed. And compromise is okay. Compromise is how a deal is struck. Everyone needs to compromise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But often there will be, I'm with the softer person, and often the person in the other room knows that by nature they're going to cave. So it's my role to stand firm and to illustrate when the deal is not right. So that's what I do. Often, I'm just finding the solicitors don't often understand the financial impact of the deal to the person and how they're going to move forward.
Yes.
So again,
I think it's really powerful, that approach there, Katrina, and it's certainly not something I've experienced myself. But I do have an understanding now of they do a approach in the US actually, which is very collaborative, and they do get the financial planners and they do get the counselor or the coach or whoever it might be and the lawyers. So they do have all the information they need for everyone to make good decisions, right? As opposed to those that are pressured.
Yes.
And being in that nervous system state as well, because I know from my clients quite often I could see they were getting into that space and it'd be like, okay, we need to take a break. You need to go outside. You need to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to make a good decision. Or we had to end it. Simple as that. They were not in space. Otherwise, they come back tomorrow and they regret it.
Regret it. You can't regret that day. That day is never going to be the best outcome for everyone. There's going to be compromises. And I warn them that you're never going to come away feeling like, oh my gosh, I got everything I wanted.
No, 100%.
Because even if you come away feeling like that, it's at the other person's expense.
Yes.
And somewhere there, your conscience won't like that.
Yeah.
So it's not fair. You do want what's fair and reasonable.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you, and I really appreciate that. So Thank you for sharing that. I think it's fascinating that you have attended some mediations, and I love that you offer that, and that's something that I will keep note of in future. Very powerful tool to have there for that process. But so tell me, Katrina, a little bit about how people may connect with you and work with you.
Excellent. I really like connections through strong referral partners, existing clients. If anyone wants to call, email, so my mobile is my preferred way. Do you want my number or?
I mean, I could put it in the chat. I'll put it underneath for people that can contact you on the mobile. Yeah,
that'd be great. Mobile or email, whatever's easiest.
Yes.
But I do like the opportunity to be able to help. When we first discuss, our discussion is very open, and I try to determine if I feel I can add value. If I can add value, then I'm keen to partner. If I feel that I can't add value, and if the timing's not right, I may refer them to someone else first. If a client was so angry and I couldn't have them settle enough to comprehend my aspects, then of course someone like yourself, Cara, very important that they're in a good headspace for moving forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we don't make good decisions when we're not in that headspace.
No, that's right.
Nor should we. It's just
no, we shouldn't, and 100% you shouldn't, because that's where we make poor decisions, and that's where, in my experience, where you see things go to absolute chaos in a separation. It's one bad move, that one part, on the chessboard, that one really, what's the word? One aim of attack that someone does, or that one aim of defensiveness, whatever it is, that just completely derails the path beforehand. So it is so critical that people are in a space where they can make those good holistic decisions that are not based in that nervous system. So yes, thank you, Katrina. Again, I'm so grateful for your time today and to have discussion and learn even more about you and how you help people. It's been so lovely, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thanks, Cara. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.